Hannah Bardell.
Thank you very much, Mr Gray. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairship, and I can think of no better way to open my speech where the Honourable Lady for Walthamstow finished off with a passage from Vicky Beeching, who gave me a lot of support before I came out publicly. In her book Undivided, Coming Out, Becoming Whole and Living Free from Shame, she says, "There was only one thing that had caused vast emotional strain in my life for years. I'd known I was gay since I was 12 or 13. Keeping that hidden for 2 decades had been wrecking my heart and mind. Now, as I neared the age of 30, it seemed to be wrecking my body too. All these years, I'd prayed and fasted, submitted myself to an exorcism, confessed to a Catholic priest, believed that conversion therapy could change a person's orientation, read the Bible until my eyes were sore, and never acted on my attractions, even once. I'd done anything and everything to try and become straight or to shut down any desires for a life partner. My immune system, my adrenals and my sympathetic nervous system were all stretched to breaking point from years of living in fight or flight mode. And if you need any other first-hand accounts of how devastating conversion therapy is, this from a good friend of mine who wanted to remain anonymous shared this with me. I'd not known until today what they had endured. It's only now, at almost 35 years old, that I even have some small level of strength to begin to deal with it. It cost me most of my teenage years and 20s. I still struggle with acceptance of my sexuality to this day, which has affected my ability to have any open and meaningful relationships. I went through years of really dark mental health battles because of this. The first time I tried to kill myself by suicide was at 12 years old, because I wasn't who I was meant to be, and this was unfortunately the beginning of what was to become a very dark decade of self-hatred, brought on because of these practices. It's torture, and it has had lifelong debilitating effects that affect every part of my life. It has to stop. The simple fact is that you should not have to choose between your religion and your sexuality, or between following the faith of your choice or the person that you love. I may not be part of any, formally part of any faith, but I recognise what a huge part faith can play in many people's lives and in our society. The National LGBT Survey of 2018 showed that 51% of respondents who had undergone said faith groups had conducted it, and 19% had said it had been conducted by healthcare providers or medical professionals. We simply, as parliamentarians, as legislators, cannot allow this practice to continue. I was well into my 30s when I came out. Part of why I didn't come out so soon will always be a mystery to me, but a big part of it was because I was from a single-parent family. And I grew up in a loving family that I knew would accept me for whoever I was, but I didn't grow up in a society who would accept me for whoever I was. I grew up in a society that said heteronormativity and having a parent of each gender was the ideal, and I couldn't face up to being a lesbian. Now, as the daughter of a single mother and a proud out lesbian, I realise that they are my strengths, my superpowers. But that's not the case for so many in the LGBT community. I know how hard it was to come out to a loving family and friendship group. I cannot imagine how difficult it is for people who are oppressed and subject of conversion therapy. So we must draw a line in the sand, Mr Gray. We must ask ourselves as parliamentarians, what are we here for? We're not just here to make grand speeches and grand gestures. We are here to bring about change, to change the law and to outlaw this abhorrent practice.
50 minutes ago, 6 speakers. Simon Baines.
Thank you, Mr.